All right, with great pleasure joining us now, we bring in Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House, great friend, mentor of all of us, Fox News contributor. Newt, a couple of topics here, but I'm sure you have some thoughts, as we all do, on the Charlie Kirk's fabulous remembrance.
Well, it was an extraordinary day, and frankly, much closer to a Billy Graham revival than to a Republican meeting.
Right.
It was enormously powerful, and I think that Erika Kirk clearly emerged as a national leader of enormous presence and deep wisdom. And I think that to see the entire senior Republican team there was pretty amazing, and to see the number of people who were there was a pretty remarkable day.
And I think, Newt, to some extent, just on that point, not the ones that were there, but the millions who weren't there. I mean, this thing went like wildfire everywhere imaginable, across the country and around the world. And as we talked about in the first segment with Miranda and Rich Lowry, you know, my hope is you see the forgiveness of Erika, for example, and all that went with that, almost, you know, the miracle. I'm hoping it draws a red line, perhaps between good and evil, but between forgiveness and hate. You know, the people who are naysayers grow smaller, whereas the Charlie Kirk and his great crusade grows larger. And we watched it grow larger yesterday, and it'll grow larger even today and tomorrow. That's what's so important here, I think.
Well, yeah, but I guess I would just suggest that Erika Kirk has every right, and it was a wonderful moral moment for her to forgive the assassin. The state does not have that right. In fact, if the state were to forgive the assassin, it would encourage a lot more assassinations. So there's a real distinction between what the government has to do to minimize the damage to others and to preserve the safety of Americans, and the fact you can forgive the individual but not forgive the act.
No, that's an important point. No, that's a very, very, very important point. Newt, speaking of the state, let's move into some secular matters. You wrote a good piece about how to sell one big, beautiful bill, and that's going to be probably the singular achievement of Mr. Trump, at least the first year, and the impact on the second year. So, as I understand it, your basic point is sell it because it avoided a $5 trillion some odd tax hike, that the more people who know that, the more popular that bill is going to be.
Well, first of all, about 84% of the country is opposed to a huge tax increase. So every Democrat who voted no was functionally voting for the largest tax increase in American history. But Republicans have to learn how to drive that message. They have two Democrats from Congress running for governor in New Jersey and Virginia. I don't know that there's been a single ad pointing out that both of them, in fact, were voting to allow taxes to go up by an enormous number, and that 84% of the people of those two states would oppose them having done that. But also, in a more detailed area, that bill reforms Medicaid by stopping illegal immigrants from taking tax money. It reforms Medicaid by stopping crooks from taking tax money, and it reforms Medicaid by insisting that able-bodied adults should work. Now, all three of those are 75 or 80% issues, as we've discovered at our America's New Majority polling project. And, you know, Republicans just have to learn how to learn the information and how to use it over and over and over again.
And the other part that you mentioned is so interesting. By the way, this is something we're going to play in the next clip that Charlie Kirk talked about in his very last interview before he was taken from us. But the overtime, tax-free overtime and tax-free tips, very popular, I think, Newt.
They are if people know that they've been done. And again, all these Democrats voted against tax-free tips. They voted against helping senior citizens. When you get down to that kind of detail, it's amazing. By the way, talking about Charlie Kirk, one of the things to remember, his last great mission to Korea was because the current Korean government is destroying Christianity in Korea. It is an astonishing story, which nobody in this country is picking up on. Secretary of State Rubio has picked up on it. President Trump has talked a little bit about it. But we're watching our ally in South Korea, headed up by basically a pro-communist government, which is literally, methodically destroying Christianity in Korea. It's an astonishing assault on human freedom.
And
Charlie Kirk was there trying to protect Christianity from the dictatorship.
And have we called them out for this?
We call them out and they ignore us. We're not applying pressure. We're not making it a major deal. And it's a huge mistake. Charlie Kirk understood that, and that's why he was in South Korea in his last big swing outside the U.S. And I think, frankly, when the president goes to South Korea later on, I think in early October, he should carry Charlie Kirk's words and Charlie Kirk's belief, and he should insist that the Lee government stop persecuting and harassing and trying to destroy Christian churches.
I bet you there could be a meeting at the UN. I don't know, the UN meetings this coming week. There might be a bilateral meeting. You know what? I heard Rubio, Secretary of State Rubio, talk about it. I heard Charlie Kirk mention it in one of the clips, but Newt, I didn't follow through on it. So this is a very big deal.
Well, it is a big deal, and frankly, the leader of one of the churches is an 83-year-old woman who they have locked up in a way that resembles North Korea or the communist China. It's literally one of the most astonishing assaults. This is a modern country. It's a totally civilized country, and now they have a dictatorship, which is what it is in effect. Have a bill to outlaw the opposition party. People don't realize how rapidly South Korea is sliding into a pro-Chinese communist dictatorship.
Wow. All right, Newt, thank you for that. I mean, we'll have to keep a very sharp eye on that. We appreciate it, Newt Gingrich.